Alice was happily scrolling through TikTok, laughing at Emily's love-struck antics of foraging wild vegetables. Suddenly, the doorbell rang.
Who could that be?
She opened the door to find a handsome guy standing there with a suitcase. Before she could say anything, he stepped forward and hugged her.
Alice, I've severed ties with my mom. Now we can be together.
Alice was stunned and pushed him away.
What did you say?
We can be together every day now.
No, I mean the part before that.
I've severed ties with my mom.
Alice dug at her ear, doubting what she heard.
Are you saying you've cut ties with your mom, the one who buys groceries with a Hermes bag and drives a Rolls-Royce Wraith?
James nodded obediently.
You spoiled rich kid who doesn't know the first thing about hard work. How will you survive without your mom?
I can forage wild vegetables to support you.
Alice's fists clenched.
Do you think you're being funny?
Don't you think so?
His innocent eyes wide open, Alice's blood pressure spiked, and she felt dizzy before losing consciousness.
My first thought was to make James spend less time on TikTok in the future.
Narrator, tone, cheerful James, my boyfriend, is a strikingly handsome heir to a vast fortune. Normally, someone like me, just an average working person, wouldn't cross paths with such an individual. However, James has a hidden issue, he's not very sharp. Narrator, tone, serious during a solo graduation trip to Yunnan, he was swindled out of all his money as soon as he left the airport. Stranded and helpless, he met me.
Emma, tone, friendly hey, you look lost. Do you need help?
James, tone, relieved yes, please. I lost all my money. I don't know what to do.
Emma, tone, cheerful oh dear, that sounds awful. Don't worry, I can help you out. Come on, let's get you settled.
Narrator, tone, cheerful when I saw him, handsome and a bit naive, I was instantly smitten.
James, tone, hopeful thank you so much. I don't know how to repay you.
Emma, tone, cheerful let's start by getting you something to eat. Then, we can figure out the rest.
Narrator, tone, cheerful throughout the trip, I paid for everything and showed him around.
Emma, tone, cheerful look at that view, James. Isn't it amazing?
James, tone, excited it truly is. I've never seen anything like it. Thank you for showing me all this.
Emma, tone, cheerful no problem at all. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Narrator, tone, cheerful before long, we were together.
James, tone, shy Emma, I really like you. Would you like to be my girlfriend?
Emma, tone, excited oh, James, I like you too. Yes, I'd love to be your girlfriend.
Narrator, tone, cheerful and just like that, our unlikely romance began. Alice lay in James' arms, her vision blurred. She vaguely heard him calling her name.
Alice, are you okay?
Alice opened her eyes and found herself lying in James' embrace. He immediately leaned down, concern etched on his face.
Sister, are you all right?
Alice, 3 years older than James, often heard him call her sister whenever she made a mistake. His voice, pleasant and soft, always melted her heart. But now, her head throbbed painfully.
Get up, sit properly.
James obediently complied, sitting very well behaved.
I don't care what happened between you and your mom. You need to go back right now and apologize to her. It's unwise to sever ties with a wealthy mother. I can't let this mistake continue.
I don't want to.
Alice couldn't help but scold him.
You stubborn child!
James lowered his head, sniffling.
Sister, do you only care about my money? Will you leave me if I have no money?
Alice resisted the urge to hug him, seeing his fair complexion and flushed face.
This isn't something that can be solved by acting cute. Talk to me.
James bit his lip, tears rolling down his cheeks.
Sister, do you not like me anymore?
I don't. Don't change the subject.
You do. You must have fallen for someone else. Is it that new guy at your company?
What does the new guy have to do with this?
James suddenly leaned in, his lips brushing lightly against her ear.
Sister, do you think I haven't taken good care of you?
Alice's face turned red.
What nonsense are you talking about?
In an instant, James bit her earlobe, his warm breath on her face, and Alice was momentarily lost. Narrator, tone, serious. The next morning, I woke up with a sore back. As I opened the door, the sight of James cooking shirtless caught my eye. His well-defined abs made me feel a bit dazed, and my back started to ache again.
James, Tone, cheerful sis, you're up. I made breakfast for you. Let's eat together. After that, I'll drive you to work.
Narrator, tone, serious. I straightened my back.
Me, tone, serious, no need to drive me. Just finish your breakfast and go home.
James, Tone, mumbling, but I don't want to.
Narrator, tone, serious. I scolded him.
Me, tone, shouting, what do you mean you don't want to? You can't just cut off a mother-son relationship like that. Go home and apologize to your mom.
Narrator, tone, serious. James sidled up to me.
James, Tone, friendly sis, are you feeling unwell from yesterday? I can learn.
Narrator, tone, serious. His hand slid to my waist, making me jump instantly.
Me, tone, serious, no need to learn. Your sister's old back can't handle it.
James, Tone, concerned, is work too tiring? Do you need me to give you a massage?
Me, tone, serious, go home and apologize to your mom, and I'll feel better immediately.
Narrator, tone, serious. I finished the last piece of bread and grabbed my bag to leave. Before walking out, I reminded James.
Me, tone, serious, I hope I don't see you when I get back from work.
After work, as expected, things didn't go as planned. James was still there, and he had prepared a full dinner.
I couldn't bring myself to scold him.
After dinner, James pulled Lily to the sofa. This sofa was all too familiar. It all started here yesterday. Lily's mind was on high alert.
James, we just finished eating.
You need to be full to have energy.
You already have enough energy.
This strength is just right.
Lily nodded comfortably.
Relax a bit, relax, and it will feel even better.
Following his words, Lily took off her bra and tossed it aside, focusing on enjoying James's massage. To be fair, his technique and strength were really good. She couldn't help but hum in pleasure.
Sister, was the food I made good?
It was okay.
Sister, am I good at taking care of people?
Not bad.
James suddenly leaned in close and whispered in her ear.
Then, sister, can I stay?
Lily snapped awake immediately. This was a different matter altogether. It was already hard enough to support herself, let alone James. she couldn't do it.
By the way, you haven't said why you didn't.
Before she could finish her sentence, James leaned in again, silencing her completely. She tried to struggle, but he held her wrists gently.
Sister, you've worked hard. Let me take care of you.
The next morning, when Lily woke up, she couldn't help but slap herself.
Lily, how could you be so weak again, falling for good looks? Today, no matter what, you have to send him back.
The following week was filled with drama. One weekend, Alice supported her aching back and sternly told James,
Today, no matter what, you have to go back.
Sister, are you abandoning me?
Alice didn't look at him.
Stop with the act. It's not me who doesn't want you, it's your mom who doesn't want you now.
Okay, I know.
In all the time they had been together, James never mentioned his mother, and Alice never asked. Wealthy family relationships often revolved around money. Alice feared James had hidden troubles.
Do you have some conflict with your mom?
My mom wants us to break up, or she won't acknowledge me.
Alice had anticipated this day but didn't expect James to introduce her to his mom so soon. It seemed this guy was deeply in love with her.
If your mom wants us to break up, that's easy. She should find me and give me a bank card with 5 million.
Are you short of money?
Not really, but I could use that 5 million.
Then I'll give it to you.
Alice's eyes lit up.
Your mom didn't cut off your cards?
No, she cut them all.
You're quite the comedian.
The next day, James said he had to go out and didn't come back until late at night. He didn't reply to Alice's messages or answer her calls. Alice worried he might have encountered trouble.
The more I thought about it, the more dangerous it seemed.
She opened the door to go find him, only to see James at the door with a tall, slender woman, about 30, extremely beautiful and well-maintained.
Sister, I missed you.
A strong smell of alcohol hit Alice's nose. She looked unfriendly at the woman.
James had a social event tonight and drank too much. Please take care of him.
Alice angrily threw the drunk James onto the sofa.
James, you call him so affectionately. Tell me honestly, who is she? Are you seeing someone else behind my back?
Sister, my head hurts, need a massage, need water.
This time, acting cute won't solve it. I'm serious, I'm angry. Explain quickly.
But James just gave her a big smile, his eyes squinting.
Sister, I missed you.
Alice rubbed her forehead, went to the kitchen to get him a glass of water, and brought it to his mouth.
Here's the water, drink it.
Not thirsty anymore?
Then I'll feed you.
Alice lifted the glass, but James didn't open his mouth. He pointed to his mouth, then to hers.
James, don't push me.
In an instant, the glass disappeared from her hand. James obediently drank the water and placed the glass on the coffee table. The whole process was so smooth that Alice suspected he wasn't drunk at all. She turned sideways, straddled him, and locked his neck with her elbow.
Confess honestly, where did you go fooling around?
Sister.
His low voice whispered in her ear, making her heart tremble. She quickly pushed him away, trying to distance herself, but he grabbed her waist, making her lose balance and fall into his arms. James hugged her tightly.
This ambiguity won't do. I'm telling you, I won't tolerate a third party.
James stared at her for a long time, then suddenly laughed.
What are you laughing at? Do you really have someone else?
Sister, you're so cute when you're jealous.
Alice slapped his hand away.
You better answer seriously.
James laughed even more, then pulled out a card from his pocket and handed it to her.
This isn't something money can solve.
What about the 5 million?
Alice snatched the bank card and examined it closely.
Are you saying there's 5 million in here?
Yes.
James took the opportunity to wrap his arm around her waist. Alice's mind was on the 5 million.
Did you make up with your mom?
No, this is money I earned myself. It's yours now.
Money you earned? Where did you get it? Wait. James, this money isn't from compromising yourself, is it?
James, standing at 183 centimeters, with a well-built body from years of exercise, fair and handsome, if she were a rich woman, she'd throw money at him too. This thought made her suspicious of the woman who brought him back.
James, you can't just recognize any woman outside. Men should maintain their integrity, understand? Return this money to her tomorrow. We won't earn it.
James knocked gently on her head.
You haven't fallen for her, have you?
James pretended to knock again, but his hands turned from fists to palms, rubbing her hair.
Alice, what are you thinking? This is money I earned.
Where did you earn it?
As far as Alice knew, James worked at his mom's company, and his salary came from her. After they cut ties, James was also unemployed.
Tell me the truth.
Sister, kiss me, and I'll tell you.
Alice took a deep breath and kissed him.
Okay, now tell me.
Sister, I have my own company. This money is what I earned.
And?
James buried his head in her neck, laughing softly.
That woman is my business partner, happily married, with no intention of keeping me.
And if she did, would you agree?
No, I have to keep myself clean for you.
Alice's cheeks turned red, and she kicked him lightly. The next morning, Alice rushed to the kitchen.
Hi, handsome, good morning.
Alice, good morning. Go wash up and come eat.
Alice followed his instructions, heading to the bathroom.
Wait.
James took a few big steps to her side, bent down, and picked her up.
The floor is cold. How come you didn't wear shoes?
He carried her to the sofa, put her down, picked up the purple slippers on the floor, and put them on her feet.
There, all set. Alice, go ahead.
For some reason, Alice felt James had changed. He seemed to have grown up overnight.
James, why do I feel like you've suddenly grown up?
Did you always see me as a child?
Tell me about your company.
Nothing much, just a small company I started 3 years ago, called Jing.
Alice was shocked.
You mean Jing, the AI company?
Yes.
Alice wiped a grain of porridge off his mouth.
How can you be like a child, getting porridge on your face?
Sister, you're the best.
It was hard to reconcile this face and personality with the CEO of a prominent tech company. James had a hidden condition, was slow-witted, and got scammed out of his money on the first day off the plane.
Alice, 3 years ago, I anticipated this day. My mom would oppose us being together. So after we confirmed our relationship, I founded Jing, partly for my dream and partly to have a say in my marriage.
Alice's heart swelled with something. Her little friend had always been so good.
We can face this together. I believe your mom will like me.
My mom is tough to deal with.
Who am I? A columnist for the Intangible Cultural Heritage Program, voted the most beloved reporter by people over 50 for years. I've won over many stubborn and skilled intangible cultural heritage masters. I don't believe I can't win over a billionaire.
Unfortunately, the slap came too quickly. James's mom, Mrs. Johnson, was determined to ignore James. All his cards were cut off, the car was taken back, and she didn't answer calls or messages.
Is she really your mom?
My mom is as stubborn as a rock. Once she decides on something, she won't stop until she achieves it. Unless I apologize, she won't talk to me.
After countless attempts to contact Mrs. Johnson failed, Alice decided to take a different approach. She used James's phone to send her a message.
Mrs. Johnson, this is Lily. If you give me $5 million, I'll break up with your son immediately.
Mrs. Johnson replied quickly this time.
When and where?
When it came to breaking them up, she was all in. Mrs. Johnson clearly disliked Alice for a long time. Saturday afternoon at 3, Alice met Mrs. Johnson at a cafe. Recognizing her immediately, Alice was about to greet her when Mrs. Johnson took out a card from her bag.
I knew you were this kind of woman. Here's the money, take it and leave a city, never come back.
Mrs. Johnson continued to insult Alice, just like in the novels.
Mrs. Johnson, I think you misunderstood. I'm not here to ask for money today. I'm here to give you money.
Alice took out another card from her pocket and threw it on the table.
This card also has $5 million. I hope you accept it and agree to let me and James be together.
Mrs. Johnson probably never expected to be insulted with money in her life and laughed.
Miss Lily, don't you think using this behavior to prove you're not materialistic is childish?
Alice silently took the card back.
Mrs. Johnson, you're wrong. I am materialistic and also greedy for beauty.
Then why did you refuse me? Playing hard to get? Want more money?
This line was so familiar. It turned out that the domineering aura James lacked was all in his mom. For such a domineering woman, Alice had a strategy. First, make her interested in her, then let go of her prejudices, and finally, make her like her.
Mrs. Johnson, I liked James the moment I saw him. He's very handsome, a shining presence in the crowd. During our relationship, I discovered many of his good qualities and liked him more and more. I think you misunderstood. I like James, and he happens to have money. It's not that I like money, and James happens to be the one with it.
After speaking, Alice left with her bag, making her stance clear.